Hello footy fans, welcome to another episode of Bev's Footy Tips. This episode for round 20 of the 2022 AFL season. Just 4 rounds remaining in the home and away season. How about that, eh? This season has just flown on by. How good was round 19, by the way? Was it the best round we've seen this year? Probably. There were a few really good games, starting with a draw on Friday night. We saw a few good games on Saturday, highlighted by the Saturday night thriller at Marlboro between the Dogs and the D's, where the Dogs won by 10 points. But I don't think any game was as good as the Collingwood Essendon game on Sunday, where Jamie Elliott kicked a goal after the siren to win the game for the Pies by 4 points. The Pies have won 9 in a row now, as well as Geelong. Anyway, enough dilly-dally. Let's get straight into this episode of Bev's Footy Tips. Enjoy. Let's begin with the round 19 winner of the Bev Show tipping comp, and it's a big congratulations to Owen. Ollie No Owen, who correctly guessed 9 out of the 9 matches correct. It says there that Owen was the closest to the margin. So, Owen, to you, well done. Whoa, you beauty. And well done to everyone who guessed 9 out of 9 in round 19. There was a few people who did just that. And this is how the overall leaderboard looks after 19 rounds of footy. Prouthouse has the lead with 119 total tips. We've then got Scotty Ayres in second, Cats Fan 17 in third, and P. Cripps Bro in fourth. They're all on 118 total tips. And then Finman in fifth, and Cade Fagan in sixth. Those two tipsters on 117 total tips. Of course, we've got 4 rounds to go, and it's still quite a tight leaderboard. Let's look back at my round 19 tips now, starting with the first game. I tipped the Tigers over the Dockers. Of course, got that tip correct, even though it was a draw. You can't tip draws. No one tips draws, so that tip is correct. I tipped Hawthorn over North Melbourne. I tipped Sydney over Adelaide. I tipped Geelong over Port Adelaide. I tipped Brisbane over Gold Coast. I tipped my beloved Doggies over the D's! And what a win it was! Go the Doggies! I tipped Carlton over GWS. This was the one that let me down. I tipped Essendon over Collingwood. Yeah, I took a risk. It nearly paid off, but Jamie Elliott, goal after the siren, and I get that tip wrong. And I tipped St Kilda over West Coast. So I got 8 out of 9 correct, which is probably my best round this season, I think, so far anyway. That brings me to 112 total tips. On we go now to round 20. Round 20 kicks off in the West at Optus Stadium with Fremantle taking on Melbourne at 8:10 p.m. This game is set to be a beauty, a great way to start round 20. Of course, these two teams have already met this season back in round 11 when the Dockers got the job done by 38 points at the MCG. The Dockers gave Melbourne their first loss of the season. Dockers are coming into this match off the back of a draw, but they did lose prior to that draw, so they haven't won for a few games now, the Dockers. Melbourne, of course, also coming into this off the back of a loss to the Dogs by 10 points. Really don't know who to tip in this game. I feel like it could go either way. I feel like the Dockers are the better team defensively, but Melbourne at their best can win this game. I'm fascinated by the conditions. We saw the state of Optus Stadium on the weekend. It looked pretty dreadful, although there was a soccer game played and then a footy game played the next day, so that probably didn't help the condition of Optus Stadium at all. But there is a bit of rain forecast for Thursday and Friday, so this game could be played in wet conditions, and we know the Dockers, they struggle in the wet. So, tough game. Not really sure who to tip here, but I'm going to back the D's in to bounce back and get back on the winners list. They're going to have to, because their next 4 games are very, very tough. And if they're going to stay in the 4, then they need to win most of their remaining 4. So backing them in here, and I'm going to tip them by 8 points. Another factor as well as to why I'm tipping the D's is they're 4 from 4 on the road this season. And when I say on the road, I mean interstate games. So they're a pretty good travelling team this season. So Melbourne, my tip in the first game of round 20. The first of the Saturday games is at the MCG, 1:45 PM start time. It's Collingwood taking on Port Adelaide. Collingwood, of course, have won their last 9 matches. They won another close one last weekend, kicking a goal after the siren thanks to Jamie Elliott to beat the Bombers by 4 points. And they're taking on a Port Adelaide team who have lost their last 2. They're outside the 8, as we know, probably not going to play finals. But they weren't disgraced against Geelong last weekend. They only went down by 12, and I thought they really did take it up to what is the best team in the comp right now. Collingwood, surely they're going to lose one at some stage. Surely. Like, how long is this streak going to go on for? But then in saying that, it's no fluke, I don't think. They're winning the close games because they train in-game scenarios. So it's no fluke in my opinion. I think if this was at the Adelaide Oval, though, I'd probably tip Port Adelaide. But given it's at the MCG and given the form that Collingwood are in, I just cannot tip against them. But wouldn't be surprised if Port Adelaide were to cause an upset. Because like I said, how long is this streak going to go on for? But backing the Pies in, what a game it should be to kickstart the Saturday of footy. The other Saturday game is at the SCG, 2:10 PM start time. It's the Sydney Swans taking on the Greater Western Sydney Giants. It's the Battle of the Bridge. They still call it that now. I don't know, but yeah, these two teams, of course, in different form. Sydney have won their last 3. GWS have lost their last 3. The Swans look like, well, all of a sudden they look like a top 4 chance, and they look like a premiership threat as well after their last 3 wins. So I think you know who I'm going to tip here. The Swans should be too good for their Western Sydney rivals. The Saturday twilight game is at Marlboro Stadium, 4:35 PM start time. It's St Kilda taking on Hawthorn. Interesting game, this one, because St Kilda, they haven't been in the best of form as of late, but they are coming off a win against the Eagles. It wasn't a pretty win, but they did what they had to do, and that's get back on the winners list. And they're taking on a Hawthorn team who have got a bit of confidence. They've won their last 3, and yeah, they've got winning form, haven't they? 3 consecutive wins in a row, as I said. But back in round 4, St Kilda thumped Hawthorn by 69 points. And I know St Kilda are probably not the same team as they were in round 4, but surely the Saints get it done. If they don't, then they don't play finals. They have to win this to keep their finals hopes alive. So, yeah, St Kilda, my tip in this one. 2 Saturday night games. The first of those at GMHBA Stadium. This is the game that I'll be watching. It's a 7:25 PM start. It's Geelong taking on the Western Bulldogs for the second time this season. Of course, the last time these two teams played each other was back in round 12 at Marvel Stadium, and Geelong won by 13 points. Of course, the Dogs, they're in ripping form at the moment. They've won their last 2 games. They're coming off a really good win against the D's, winning by 10 points in a game where I felt like every time they tried to challenge Melbourne, the D's would respond, but they were so persistent, the Dogs. They just kept trying, and in the end, it paid off, and they got the job done by 10 points in a high-scoring game. They're taking on a Geelong team who are the best team in the comp right now, that is for sure. 9 wins in a row, top of the ladder. They're looking really, really good, the Cats. Look, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm tipping the Cats because GMHBA Stadium, the Dogs have not won there since 2003. So that's a concern for me. But I'm confident the Dogs are going to go to GMHBA. They're going to give it their best shot, and they won't go down without a fight. But just the Canidia Park factor, I have to tip the Cats. The other Saturday night match is at the Adelaide Oval, starting at 7:30 PM. It's the Adelaide Crows taking on Carlton. Of course, the Crows have lost their last 4 matches. The Blues have been going win-loss since about round 11, I think, or something like that. They're coming off a win against the Giants last Sunday. Feel like the Crows are a sneaky chance to win this, just given the fact that it's at the Adelaide Oval, and they're usually pretty competitive at their home ground, well, this season anyway, but I don't think that's enough. I think the Blues should be too good. Of course, the Blues got a pretty convincing 48 win earlier in the season when these two teams met at Marvel Stadium. Expecting the Blues to get another win over the Crows and record back-to-back wins. 3 Sunday matches, the first of them at Metricon Stadium beginning at 1:10 p.m. It's the Gold Coast Suns taking on the West Coast Eagles. Thought the Suns were terrific against the Brisbane Lions. They really took it up to the Lions at the Gabba. They led by as much as 7 points going into the fourth quarter, but then the Lions just proved to be a little bit too classy for the Suns in the end, putting on a big 5-goal-to-1 last quarter and winning by 17 points. But back at Metricon Stadium, I just expect the Suns to get the win here. Of course, these two teams met back in round 1. It was at Optus Stadium, and the Suns got the win by 27 points, expecting similar in this game on Sunday. The mid-Sunday afternoon match looks set to be a beauty. It is Richmond taking on the Brisbane Lions at the MCG, 3:20 p.m. start time. Richmond have gone 3 games without a win now, 2 of those games losses, and of course they drew to Fremantle last Friday night in a game that felt like a loss for them because they're now outside the 8 because of it, and they really should have won the game, to be honest. I felt like they were the better team for a majority, but just couldn't quite get the job done in a close one once again. They're taking on a Brisbane Lions team who have won their last 2 after losing to Essendon 3 games ago now. Yeah, I feel like this game could go either way, but I just can't tip the Brisbane Lions at the MCG because they've lost 10 in a row at the home of footy. So until they win a game at the MCG, I just can't tip them, especially against Richmond, who usually play good footy at the MCG. So tipping the Tigers in that one. And in the final game of the round, it's Essendon taking on North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium, 4:40 p.m. start time. The Bombers, I'm sure they've been kicking themselves all week after losing to Collingwood last weekend in a game that they really should have won. They really should have defended better from the kick out after Harrison Jones kicked that behind. But they're back at Marvel. They're playing North Melbourne. They should be too good, the Bombers, so tipping them in the final game of the round. So just recapping my round 20 tips. I've tipped Melbourne by 8 points. I've tipped Collingwood, Sydney, St Kilda, Geelong, Carlton, Gold Coast, Richmond, and Essendon. And there you go, footy fans. That's another episode of Bev's Footy Tips done and dusted. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below your tips for the upcoming round of footy. And don't forget to press that subscribe button as well. I'll have a new video out tomorrow, so double the upload this week. And I feel like it's going to be an interesting video for most of you, so make sure you press that subscribe button to stay tuned. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye for now. Go the Doggies!